Hello everyone, Jinjinx here, one of the Monster Hunter math guys. So first off, yes, we are currently working on figuring out what the new meta gear in endgame Monster Hunter World Iceborne looks like. And we are currently working on a video talking about what we speculate to be the meta competitive options. But we are also on that grind getting all of the gear unlocked. So for today I have a quick video talking about the Steamworks and how to get fuel for it. Now the Steamworks is not only a great way to get lots of different rare resources, especially it's the only current way to get Celestial Wyverian tickets. But it's also a fun little game with lots of flashing lights, cute palicos, and what the is that 34,000 fuel? How long have you been spending farming fuel, Jinx? Well, the answer to that is about 3 hours. And while doing so, I also farmed up a crapload of materials as well as about 80,000 research points. And also, I was testing and refining a lot of things during those 3 hours, so peak efficiency is probably closer to 1.25 times that. Now, Celestial Wyverian prints are very nice, and the Steamwork is the only way we have to currently get those. And with 35,000 fuel, I can literally tape down my R2 button and just have it autocomplete and farm me materials while I make this video. But before we get too deep into talking about how exactly I farmed this much fuel so quickly, I do want to mention briefly that we do have a Twitter and Tuna does have a Twitch over at twitch.tv/TunaTaco. He streams on there almost every single day and we do split everything as we are equal business partners. So shooting him a follow over on Twitch or following us on Twitter are two of the best ways you can help support the channel absolutely for free. And Tuna will be live as soon as this video goes out, so be sure to check it out. Next thing I'm going to mention is there will be very mild spoilers in this video. This particular farming method is only available after the story in post-credits endgame. Now, as much as is reasonable, I am going to avoid spoilerinos. But because this happens in post-credits endgame, it's impossible for me to discuss it without talking about some stuff in post-credits endgame. So if you don't want to hear about post-credits endgame right now, then be sure to click off the video because, yeah, spoiler warning and all that. Alright, you good? Everyone's clicked off, all the spoilerinos and spoilerinettes all clicked off and whatnot? Cool. Alright, so the particular method we're going to be discussing today involves using the Guiding Lands, which is of course the post-credits endgame area. Now this area is where you get access to mining deposits that hold very nice Dragon Vein coal deposits. So let's just briefly explain the mechanics behind how these work. So there are two kinds of special gathering points in the Guiding Lands. These are ore mining deposits and bone piles. Now these ore mining deposits and bone piles function a bit differently from how they do in other areas of the game. First off, visually they look very different and they're always attached to a wall. The mining deposits are very big, blue, have a little sphere in the center and have all of these little crystals jutting out of it. And the bone piles stand up alongside the wall and have these little spines coming out of the left side and these little nubs coming out the right side. These also do not appear on your map until your scout flies notice them because you're right next to them. And once you fully harvest them, they disappear from your map. They do not remain on your map like other gathering points do. The only way for them to show back up on your map is for you to run next to them and have your scout flies notice them, at which point you don't need the map to find them. And they do have set spawning points, but the spawning timers are all staggered for the different points. I'll be honest, I have not completely figured out how the timers work because every time I load into a Guiding Lands expedition, it seems different ones spawn, so it might just be randomized. That being said, the respawn timers don't feel that long at all, so as long as you know where to find them, you can do rotations. Now, the thing that makes these really unique is their area-specific ramp-up mechanics. Basically, each of the different areas in the Guiding Lands, so the Coral Highlands area, the Rotten Vale area, the Wildspire Waste area, and the Ancient Forest area, each of these has their own meter tied to both the bone and ore gathering points. How this essentially works is the more you gather of that particular resource in that area, the more the meter fills up. When it fills up entirely, you get a giant version that spawns. This giant version is guaranteed to give you the max rarity item that you can get from those different deposits. And as you get closer to that giant pile, then the color of the gathering points changes and the rarity of stuff that you get out of them changes as well. Once you hit the final red tier, mining deposits will be dropping buckets of Dragon Vein coal chunks which are worth 500 fuel each. They also have a chance of dropping that max rarity guiding crystal or bone that you're looking for from the giant versions. Unfortunately, once the giant version spawns, it then resets the meter to a little under a third of the max amount. So you only get to do a few rotations of red ore before it resets back down to yellow. And yes, this reset happens regardless of whether you have harvested the giant version or not. I was hoping that if you didn't harvest the giant version, it would lock it at max and not reset it, but it still resets it regardless. All you're doing is missing out on the giant version. One final note, both the ore and the bone piles can give you account items of 250 or 750 research points each, which is how I got 80,000 research points while doing all of this. Alright, cool, so we know that we want to be farming up these guiding lands mining points to get lots of coal, and might as well hit up the bones while we're at it because we can get research points and lots of materials from it. But here's the thing, the bone piles and the ore deposits in the guiding lands are like spread all over the place and in weird ass locations. See, here's the thing, all of these points do have set locations, but they are spread out amongst that particular biome's environments. This makes them pretty spread out and rather annoying to farm and efficiently rotate through in both the Wildspire waste areas as well as the ancient forest areas. However, both the Coral Highlands as well as the Rotten Vale areas of the guiding lands are both very small. They both only have one area, and that area is always sectioned off into two smaller sections. And there happens to be very efficient routing between the two of them as well. So let's take a look at what the routing path looks like. So as soon as you spawn into the guiding lands, you want to exit out, take a right, and just keep heading east until you hit the Coral Highlands area. Now, once you get to the main area proper, be sure to remember that all of these only spawn on walls. There is a bone pile spawning point on your left as soon as you enter, and then on the platform below there is a mining point. Don't bother jumping further down than there are no spawn points there, although the giant bone pile does spawn there. So just keep following this back wall, there is a bone pile that can spawn here. Now, if you turn back around on the right side of the entrance you came through, there is also a mining spot that can be right there. Once you have checked all of the walls in this first section, move on to the next one. On the right side of the entrance, there is going to be a spawning point for ore. Other than that though, there are no spots that spawn on this lower level, so instead head to your left and take the wedge beetle up. Directly on your right, as you get up there is a bone pile that can spawn there, and then as you circle down the upper platform, there can also be a mining spot right in front of you. Once you have swept this upper area, you can just jump off right over here. This will land you at the entrance to the Coral Highlands area. So run straight forward back through to the ancient forest area, and then on your right you'll see a wedge beetle. At this wedge beetle, you can jump down straight to the Rotten Vale area. So follow this tunnel straight down, and then on your right as well as your left there are potential mining spawn spots. After you check both of those, go ahead and head up to the little platform above you. There is a potential bone spawning spot right up here. After you check that, go ahead and jump off the middle in between the two vine climbing areas of this platform. There is a potential bone spawning spot right here. Alright, now that you've checked these, go ahead and head down to the next area. Down here, the only spawning points are all set on the big outer wall, so just follow it all the way around looking for either an ore or bone pile deposit. After that, you can make your way back up. Don't be afraid to check the spawn points again in case something else spawned while you were in the other area. After you've looked through there, just go ahead and climb back up, exit back to the left, and go back up the wedge beetles. And then you go to the left again and head back up to the Coral Highlands area and just keep looping this. Not only will this get you a crap load of fuel, this will also get you all of the Coral Highland as well as all of the Rotten Vale guiding bones and ore that you need. Not to mention all the other materials you can get from these as well as all of those research points. So now that we know the specific path thing, let's talk about what we should be looking for in a build to do these gathering runs, because having a proper build is very important for maximizing the efficiency. So first up, your build has to have Geologist 3. Don't even bother trying this without it. Geologist 3 will get you an extra resource per node and is absolutely worth it. I also highly recommend running both Tool Specialist and Intimidator. The Assassin's Creed Mantle increases your movement speed as long as you don't attack anything, so it's very good for getting faster rotations out, so having more uptime on that is a good thing. Now, the most annoying part of doing these farming rotations are all the small monsters hanging about. Intimidator will make it so they won't attack you. With the exception of Vespoids, they don't seem to care how intimidating you are, which is why I also have paralysis resistance on this set. Combine that with Master Gatherer, which makes it so they cannot flinch you out of your gathering animations, and it means that you will be able to just tank your way through Vespoids without ruining your Assassin Mantle by killing them. Marathon Runner as well as Quick Sheath are in there because I like to use Lance, which has a few little special time-saving techs you can use for these resource runs. But more on that in a second. Now, other than Geologist, Paralysis Resistance, Intimidator, and Master Gatherer, pretty much everything is optional. I just do recommend you run Master Rank Armor for this. I did make a few runs with my old high rank gathering set, and I got one shot by every monster I ran into. Speaking of which, make sure you also run Dung Pods. The other items don't really matter, but you can definitely run into Ebony Order Garons, Radabans, Tigrexes, and various other things while doing these rotations. And Holy Mantle will only last for like one rotation, so you want to make sure you bring Dung Pods. As for food, there is a particular combination of foods that is very good for this. I've named this the On My Knees meal because you spend the entire time gathering, and that is the only reason. This basically runs Feline Exchanger as well as Feline Harvester. These come from the special drinks you can get in high rank. Feline Exchanger increases the resource points you get by 20%, which is really nice. Feline Harvester increases the spawn rates of special gathering points, however, I'm not 100% certain it works with these particular spawn points. When I did runs with and without Harvester, I honestly can't say I noticed a difference in the timings for the spawn rates. But there's no other 2-level skill to eat for, so might as well just in case it helps. Also, if you do cart and lose these, don't worry. When you're in a Guiding Lands expedition, harvesting the materials you are going to spend this whole time farming is how you refresh the ingredients at the canteen. And Feline Exchanger works even if you only eat it right before returning from the expedition. So if you cart, don't worry, the ingredients will be sure to have been refreshed and you can just eat for it again. Alright, let's finish this up by just covering a few time-saving tips that you can make use of if you use Lance. So obviously, using the Lance's charge is going to be a fast way from getting from one point to another. However, there are 2 Lance mechanics you may not be aware of that can get you there even faster. First off, if you jump off of a ledge, hold a direction and press R2, when you land you will instantly go into a